If you're hosting a virtual interview, let's make sure that you do not make these common mistakes because a bad interview isn't just awkward, it can hurt your credibility and having anybody want to have a second interview with you. The first mistake is not doing your homework because when you don't do your homework, we can tell. If you don't even know the basics about them, then why should they come onto your show? The best hosts research their guests, their work, and what makes them interesting to your audience. At the very minimum, you should have read their bio, check out their latest work, and prep a few thoughtful questions. But that's just the minimum, okay? Mistake number 2, skipping the tech check. Nothing kills an interview faster than tech issues. Have you ever seen one of those interviews where the audio cuts out or the video is behind? It happens. There's a lot that is going on to do these virtual interviews. If you take time to prepare, to practice, to prep, I said prep already, to make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be and it looks the way you intend, then you can minimize the things that can happen because things are still going to happen, but we can try to minimize the issues as much as possible ahead of time. And beyond just making sure everything looks good on camera and everything sounds good, if you're using scenes, screen shares, or graphics, please run through them first. Please run through them first because I have absolutely caught myself halfway through an interview realizing, oh, wait, I didn't change the name. I didn't make the scene look right, or I didn't do it good. I didn't do it good. I have been victim of this. And by victim, I mean I am responsible because I did not run through ahead of time. Now, if you're using Ecamm, doing a run through is very easy to go through before you even start recording. Now, if you happen to have gone live and you realize one of your scenes is incorrect, the text is wrong, here's what you do. Okay, you're going to ask your guest a really juicy question while they start talking, move to a scene that is focusing on them, then you go into preview mode, and then you're going to fix the scene before you push it out to the recording. It's not for the faint of heart, but you can do it in a pinch. I would much rather you prepare beforehand, but if you're in it and you have to do it, I've had to do it, the tool is there for us. Mistake number 3 is not preparing your guest because a great interview is not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about setting up your guest for success because if you want to have more guests, you want to make sure you are creating an environment that helps them shine. So good people want to come on your show. One of the best things to do is to send them a prep email. So before they even come onto the call with you, they already have an idea of what they need to know and the energy that they should bring. And it can also help if somebody's a little nervous, like not everybody's used to doing this. If they have as much information as possible, it can help lessen those fears. You can give them a rundown of what to expect, any key questions or topics. I don't personally like to lead with the questions because I like my interviews to be a little bit more like a conversation, but I will absolutely give lists of topics because you should think of your topics because your topics should be specific to what this guest can say to your audience. And one thing that I find stresses most people out is the tech. Giving them a tech checklist is definitely helpful because while we have all this stuff, they might not. So you can give them tools so they can do the best with what they have. And I always like to do a quick pre-show chat to make sure everybody's comfortable and the setup is solid. It's not nice to just throw people into the deep end of the pool. It's not nice. And if you come off confident in helping them feel confident, everybody will be more confident. Mistake number 4 is not controlling your environment. Listen, you could be the best interview in the world, but if your lighting is bad and your background is messy, it's distracting. If you hear this drilling in the back, I will have to record again, but it's not showing up in my audio monitor, so it could be a testament to how good this microphone actually is. It's really good. All right, let's make sure your lighting is good, okay? You need to face the light source. You don't want the light behind you. You want to avoid some shadows. So definitely make sure you look at yourself because in Ecamm, you have your video monitor, so you know what the output is going to look like. So you can make adjustments like this, right? So this a little too shadowy for me. So I move this up here and I just like, it's like a little bit nicer. It's just a little bit nicer. Without this one, I feel like it's a little dark. It's okay, but I add this light to just give it a little extra, give it a little extra. Make sure you can see and make sure you declutter your background because the audience should be focused on the conversation and not the pile of laundry behind you. No pile of laundry behind me. And one mistake that I see happening during interviews is interrupting too much or going on too much as the host. Your job as the host is to get them talking and have a conversation with them. but let them be the star. And this is something you can practice in your everyday life. It's active listening. When you're having a conversation with somebody, don't just be waiting for your turn to talk. Actually listen and think of what's interesting to you. And you're like, wow, that's actually an interesting thread I want to pull on, and ask follow-up questions. So they know you were paying attention. Just pay attention. This is all just gonna make you a better date. I really do not recommend sticking to a rigid script, because now that will just start to feel like a job interview, and that's not what we wanna do here, okay? So don't wait for your turn to talk, but actively engage. One thing I love about doing interviews in Ecamm is that I can set up my scenes for me, for my guest, and for the both of us, so I can control the switching and make sure the interview is focused on the guest when I want it to be focused on the guest. So typically, if I have an interview, it'll be the two of us if I'm asking a question, and it'll be just the guest if the guest is talking. Because in an interview, I don't necessarily need shots of just me alone, except for maybe the intro and the outro. So typical run of show for me in an interview will be a shot of just me by myself, introducing the interview and the guest, a shot with the guest and myself, and then I will ask my questions, and anytime I have the guest talking, I will highlight them. They will be the center of attention. It'll be a shot of them. When it's time for me to add to the conversation, I will come back to the scene of the two of us and then wrap it up with just me, giving the outro, giving the conclusion, and ending the show beautifully. And it tends to make for a smooth interview. Question for you. What is the biggest mistake you've seen in a virtual interview? Don't be shy. Let me know in the comments. Now you know what to do and you know what not to do. So let's make your next interview the best one yet. And if you want your virtual interviews to shine and stand out from what everybody else is doing, where they just all look the same, then make sure you're using the right tools, like Ecamm. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.